Have you ever like really looked at yourself in the mirror and really looked, not just to, fix your hair or check for something in your teeth,
Right.
but like looked into your own eyes for a while?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But what if I told you that that very act could be like a key to unlocking some pretty powerful stuff? Like seriously, we're talking self-love and confidence.
Yeah.
Big time.
Interesting.
So today we're diving into this thing called the mirror technique.
Okay.
Some people might have heard about it. Maybe you've seen it mentioned alongside like Louise Hay and other self-help folks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've seen that.
What's so interesting about it is that it seems so simple.
Yeah, it does.
Like you're literally just using a mirror.
Your own reflection as a tool.
Exactly. But it goes deeper than that. You're not just thinking positive thoughts. It's about like creating a direct visual connection with yourself while you're doing it. So the basics are this. You stand in front of a mirror. You look yourself in the eye. Like really make eye contact.
Yeah.
And then you start speaking positive affirmations out loud.
Okay.
To yourself.
To your reflection.
Yep.
Got it.
Now here's the thing that I found pretty wild.
Okay. That's that.
Some people say that this visual element, this eye contact thing, makes your subconscious mind way more receptive to these affirmations. Like some even say like 10 times more than if you were just, repeating affirmations in your head.
Wow.
Or writing them down.
That's a big claim.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, think about it this way.
Okay.
When someone is talking to you and they're really looking you in the eye.
Yeah.
You really feel it, don't you? It like hits differently.
It does. Yeah.
It's more powerful.
Yeah.
And it seems like this mirror technique is tapping into that same kind of intensity.
That makes sense. I mean, if you think about how we're wired, like how we process information, that direct gaze, that eye contact, it creates a more immediate and personal experience.
That's sure.
So it's like taking that intensity and turning it inward.
Exactly.
Focusing it on yourself.
So for you listening to this, think of this like a crash course.
Okay.
On this potentially really impactful method.
Yeah.
We're cutting through we're giving you like the need to know stuff.
The essentials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What it is, why it might actually work.
Great.
So let's get into the specifics. What does doing this mirror technique actually look like in practice?
Right. Well, the core of it is really about a conscious and deliberate engagement with your reflection.
Okay.
It's not just, glancing in the mirror as you rush out the door or, like you said earlier, just checking your teeth. It's about taking the time to really see yourself.
Yeah.
And then, like we mentioned before, verbally expressing positive statements, those affirmations to the person you see there.
And that eye contact piece.
Yes.
That's so important. It's not enough to just kind of like glance at the mirror. The idea is to lock eyes with yourself. Like really hold that gaze. And I gotta say, it can feel kind of intense.
I bet.
It can feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
At first, at least.
Yeah. Because
it is a very focused connection. And you're like really seeing yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, it seems like that's where the magic happens. If you want to call it magic.
Yeah. Well, and I think, from a more practical perspective, it's believed that that sustained eye contact, it strengthens that internal connection and it amplifies how those affirmations are received in your subconscious.
I see.
It's like you're having a conversation with yourself. You're not just making a general statement.
So we've talked about the what of the mirror technique.
Right.
Now let's get into the why. What makes this potentially so powerful?
Okay.
Why might this actually work?
Okay. Well, this is where it gets really interesting. And it's important to say that, there aren't tons of like rigorous scientific studies specifically on this technique.
Sure.
But we can look to some concepts in neuroscience and psychology that can help shed some light on how it might work.
I like that.
One of those concepts is neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I have. I'm not an expert, though.
Well, basically, it's the idea that your brain is constantly changing and adapting. It's like remodeling a house, but it's your brain.
Okay.
And so when you're doing something repeatedly, like these affirmations, and especially when you're doing it with this visual and emotional component of looking in the mirror, you're essentially strengthening the neural pathways that are associated with those beliefs.
So it's like creating a path in a forest.
Exactly.
The more you walk it, the more established it becomes.
Exactly.
Cool. So basically, we're training our brains to think more positively about ourselves.
Yeah, you're reinforcing those messages over and over at a neurological level.
Awesome. What else? Are there other, like, brain things that might be going on here?
Well, another fascinating area to consider is the role of mirror neurons.
Okay.
These are these special brain cells that they fire, both when you do an action,
Uh-huh.
but also when you see someone else do that same action.
Wow.
And so some researchers believe that when you're doing this mirror technique and you're saying these positive things like, I love you,
Right.
while looking at your own expression,
Yeah.
it's possible that those mirror neurons are involved in you internalizing that message.
Wow.
Like you're both giving and receiving that love at the same time.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Our brains are literally mirroring back our own affirmations.
That's the idea. It suggests that it's happening on a deeper level.
Okay, cool. What else?
Well, another thing to consider is that using a mirror for like self-reflection and emotional work isn't new.
Yeah.
Therapists have used similar techniques for a long time.
Really?
Yeah. To help people, deal with negative self-image or process emotions or learn self-compassion.
So the mirror becomes like a tool.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
visual anchor for that inner work.
Okay, so knowing that it has some roots in established psychological practice,
Yeah,
that definitely adds some credibility.
it does.
Okay, so I'm sure some of you listening are like, all right, I'm intrigued. How do I actually do this?
Yes.
Let's break it down.
Let's give them a step-by-step guide.
Yes, a step-by-step guide to trying this mirror technique.
Okay. Step 1. Find a quiet spot
Okay,
where you have a mirror, obviously, and where you can be undisturbed for a few minutes.
great.
Step 2, stand in front of the mirror,
Okay,
take a deep breath, and really look into your own eyes. And try to hold that gaze for at least a minute before you start speaking.
okay.
Now, a lot of people find this part kind of awkward
Yeah, I can imagine.
or uncomfortable.
Right.
It's a weird thing to do.
It is.
But that's normal. Just try to gently push past any initial awkwardness.
It feels way more vulnerable than just, quickly checking your hair in the mirror.
Yeah, it does, because you're really seeing yourself.
Yeah,
But that's part of the point.
that's part of the process.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
All right, so step 3, once you've got that eye contact going, start speaking your affirmations
Okay.
directly to your reflection
Okay.
and make them personal and positive.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, well, a really powerful one is simply, I love you,
Okay.
and then say your own name.
So like, I love you, Mary.
Exactly. Or you could say, you are worthy of love and happiness.
Oh, I like that one.
Or another good one is, I forgive you and I accept you completely.
Wow.
And one more, you are powerful, confident, and limitless.
Those are all good. And it's important to actually say them out loud, isn't it?
It is. It's more powerful than just thinking them. Because when you hear yourself saying those words,
Yeah.
it adds another dimension.
Okay, what's the next step?
So step 4 is, as you're doing this, notice any emotions that come up.
Okay.
You might feel some resistance or sadness, or you might even cry.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
And that's okay.
Really?
Yeah. Those emotions are okay. Just acknowledge them without judging yourself.
So it's not a sign to stop.
No, it's actually a sign that you're touching on something deep
Okay.
and that you're starting to heal.
So those emotions are part of the process.
They are. They can be a really important part of the process.
Okay. And what's the last step?
All right, so step 5, and this is key for seeing lasting changes.
Right.
Make this a daily practice for at least 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah. Consistency is really important.
So commit to doing it every day for a month and see what happens.
Exactly.
Okay. I love it. I'm sure some people are listening and wondering, does this really work for like normal people?
Right?
Not just like self-help gurus?
Yeah.
Do you have any like real world examples of people who have tried this and seen results?
Yes, I do. Let me tell you about Anna. Anna had struggled with really negative self-talk. For a long time, she had a lot of self-hate.
Wow.
But she started doing this mirror technique every day.
Oh,
And within a couple weeks, she said she started to feel different.
really?
Yeah. And after a month, she had this new sense of self-confidence and self-acceptance.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful, right?
You had to go from self-hate to self-acceptance in just a month.
It can happen.
That's really inspiring. Do you have another example?
Yeah. I've got another one. This is David.
Okay.
David had a really rough childhood.
Oh, no.
A lot of emotional neglect.
Oh,
And as a result, he had a hard time feeling any kind of self-love.
that's heartbreaking.
It is. But when he started doing this mirror technique, he used it as a way to connect with his inner child. He would look in the mirror and talk to that younger version of himself.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And it was really healing for him.
So it's not just about like surface level confidence.
No.
It can also help with deeper emotional healing.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you have one more example? Maybe one that's about like achieving goals.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jake.
Okay.
Jake felt stuck in his career.
Uh-huh.
He didn't feel like he was worthy of success.
Hmm.
So he started using affirmations in the mirror like, I am worthy of abundance and success.
A good affirmation.
And guess what? Within 2 months, he landed his dream job.
No way.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So it can impact like external things too.
It seems like it can.
Okay, so those are some great examples, but let's be real for a minute. Starting anything new is hard.
For sure.
What are some of the challenges that people might face when they first start doing this mirror technique?
Okay, well, I think one of the most common ones is just the awkwardness.
Yeah.
Like, it can feel really silly to stand there talking to yourself in the mirror.
Totally.
And that can make people not want to do it.
You've got that little voice in your head say, what are you doing?
Exactly.
And then there's that feeling of disbelief, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying the words, but you don't really believe them.
You're not feeling it.
Yeah. It's like your inner critic is like,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so but
Another challenge, and we touched on this earlier, is the potential for strong emotions.
Yeah.
Like some people might start crying or get really upset.
yeah, that makes sense.
And that can be overwhelming and make them want to quit.
And then I think another big one is just consistency.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Life gets busy
No.
and it's easy to forget to do new things.
Yeah.
Or to just skip a day and then another day and then before you know it, you've totally fallen off the wagon.
Yeah, it happens.
So how do we deal with those challenges? Let's start with the awkwardness. Any advice on how to get over that?
Well, I think the main thing is to just acknowledge that it's normal to feel awkward.
Oh,
It's a weird thing to do,
it is.
but it gets easier with practice.
So just keep doing it.
Yeah. Just remind yourself why you're doing it and know that that awkward feeling will probably fade.
Okay, what about the disbelief?
Yeah.
How do we start to believe those affirmations even if we don't feel them at first?
Well, I think that's where patience comes in
Okay.
and self-compassion.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't believe the words right away,
Uh-huh.
your subconscious mind is still hearing them
Okay.
and it's being influenced by them.
So just keep repeating them.
Yeah, and eventually you might start to notice a shift in your thinking.
Like planting a seed.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
plant the seed, you water it, you give it time, and eventually it will grow.
I love that analogy. Okay, how about those strong emotions? How do we handle those when they come up?
Well, I think it's important to remember that those emotions are not a bad thing.
Okay.
They're often a sign that you're healing. So try to just allow yourself to feel them without judgment.
Okay.
And if you need to take a break from the affirmations, that's okay.
Yeah.
But try to come back to the practice.
So it's like those emotions are part of the healing process.
Exactly. They're not something to be afraid of.
Yeah. Got it. And about consistency, how do we make this a daily habit that we actually stick to?
Well, I think the best way is to make it part of your routine. Like
All right.
maybe do it first thing in the morning when you brush your teeth
Mm-hmm.
or right before bed.
Yeah.
Link it to something you already do every day.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And you can also set a reminder on your phone,
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
especially in the beginning, just to help you remember.
Okay, great advice. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
let's reiterate like the core message about this mirror technique.
All right. So I think the main takeaway is that this technique is a really simple
Yeah.
but potentially very powerful way to cultivate self-love.
Uh-huh.
And it can help with emotional healing.
And changing those negative beliefs that we have about ourselves.
Exactly. And it does this by combining that visual connection
Uh-huh.
with consistent positive self-talk.
I love it. And the coolest thing is that anyone can do it.
Yeah.
You don't need any special tools or anything. Nope.
Just a mirror.
Which everyone has.
And a few minutes each day.
So you listening to this right now, you can literally start today, right now. Find a mirror, look into your own eyes and say, I love you.
It's that simple.
That's a great first step.
Yeah.
Next time you catch your reflection, take a moment.
Hmm.
Really look at yourself
Yeah.
and think about the power of those words.
Powerful stuff.
It is. What could change for you if you started treating yourself with more kindness and affirmation?
That's a great question.
It is a question worth pondering.
Mm.
And who knows? The answer might surprise you.